Apple didn't just buy a company that makes headphones. Apple is buying a company that makes wearable technology. Let's talk about Beats Electronics, a company that was supposed to be a way for Monster to diversify out of selling high-end audio cables, for HTC to differentiate their smartphones, for computer companies and car companies to distinguish their products. But let's talk about how, ultimately, Beats Electronics may be a way for Apple to break into the wearable computing market. The story really goes back to Interscope Records approaching Dr. Dre with the idea of selling products, something outside of just simply selling songs or albums. So in comes Jimmy Iovine, chairman of one of the largest record labels in the world, teaming up with Dr. Dre to sell and market electronics. But there was one big problem. They had no idea how to engineer, design, manufacture, or distribute electronics. This was totally foreign to them, but they did know how to sell a product. So in comes Monster, a company that knew how to do all this, but didn't know how to promote their products in the new age of social media. In trying to win this contract with Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine, Monster invested millions of dollars to develop a prototype. Big mistake. They did all this without a contract. So when it came time to create a deal, Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre had the upper hand and drafted a deal that was signed for 5 years. Yet Beats Electronics retained ownership of the intellectual property, the patents, and most importantly, the brand. So this deal was doomed for failure from the beginning. However, Monster needed to find a way out, and they went with it. So the marketing began. We saw the headphones promoted in music videos, product placement, and it was designed and pitched as a way to hear hip-hop and pop music in a way that the artist truly intended. And there's a lot of controversy among the audiophile community about the value of Beats Electronics, how it really just boosts the bass and boosts the highs and gives you an experience that could be had with cheaper headphones at maybe half the cost. But the big distinguishing feature of Beats was that it was designed in a way to create demand, and it was marketed in a way that no pair of headphones has ever been marketed before. So within a matter of a couple years, they were able to grow the company to $300 million in revenue, with the help of licensing deals from HP for their PCs and laptops, and even doing deals with car companies like Chrysler and Dodge and Fiat. And having seen all this growth, HTC saw it as an opportunity to distinguish their smartphones. So they came with $300 million to acquire 50.1% of Beats Electronics. Of course, this was also a way for the company to establish itself and have the necessary financial power to eventually create their own, manufacture their own products. So in late 2012, almost 4 years into the contract, it was clear that Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre were not going to renew the contract with Monster. Yet they had enough money to build their own equipment in-house. And they released new products like the Executive Beats headphones and the Pill. But HTC was struggling with its own problems. One of the executives at HTC said, headphones don't factor into when someone is buying a smartphone. In mid-2012, HTC had to sell back 25% of its initial investment for $150 million. But at the same time, Beats invested and acquired Mog, an online subscription service that had a huge catalog of music available to its subscribers. But the troubles with HTC were just too great. They just needed to get out of the business altogether. So in walks a private equity firm with $500 million to acquire about half the company. This was enough to pay off HTC, $256 million to get out of the business altogether. This money also placed a $1 billion valuation on Beats Electronics. In early 2014, Beats launched its own music service, Beats Music, as a subsidiary company. It offered online music with the recommendations from actual music artists. So here we are today, $3.2 billion. If true, this could be the largest acquisition Apple has ever made. So what does this mean for Apple? Every acquisition has to bring value to a company, and Apple is not one known to acquire an existing brand until now. What exactly is Apple getting? Well, they're getting margins, they're getting brand equity, and they're getting a huge marketing machine through Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre. But most importantly, this is their chance to break into the wearable tech market. We know Google is approaching the same problem with glasses. We know Samsung has tried it out with watches. Perhaps headphones are the ticket in. Let's talk about the margins. Last year, Beats Electronics is reported to have made about $1.5 billion in revenue, which, if we assume 50% or higher margins, is a huge cash cow. So this falls in line with Apple's high-margin businesses, their iPhones, their iPads, their accessories, their Macs. Because we all know that buying one of those products is more than just buying a set of features. It's buying a design, an ecosystem, an experience. The other thing that Apple is getting is brand equity. Brand equity is the amount of intangible value that the market places on the product. No other headphone company has the brand equity that Beats Electronics has been able to build in a relatively quick amount of time. In 2011, they brought in $500 million, controlling 64% of the premium headphone market, pretty much dominating the category. 2 years later, they're reported to have made $1.5 billion. But most importantly, what Apple is getting with this acquisition is a huge marketing machine, connections to the music industry. Beats Music, the online music subscription service, is headed by Trent Reznor. He's the chief creative officer. Trent Reznor is trying to figure out what song comes next. He's quoted as saying, "My phone knows where I'm at, what I'm up to, what the temperature is. What if music could be collected in parcels and served up to me effortlessly?" Basically, Beats Music is trying to tailor music to you with the help of data from your smartphone. So this makes perfect sense with the iPhone, which is known as the largest platform for music through iTunes. But more than that, what Beats Music did was create deals with cellular companies like AT&T. They followed Apple's strategy of sharing the costs of marketing and promotion with the cell companies, the place where you go to update your phone and get a new device. So AT&T has a plan where for $15 you can share Beats Music with up to 5 users. Otherwise, it's $10 per user if you're using it on your own. So all of this tells me that Apple didn't just buy a company that makes headphones. Apple is buying a company that makes wearable technology, that is looking at the whole experience of music by creating the software services, by contacting and promoting it through music industry professionals like Dr. Dre, and most importantly, by creating a design that is fashionable and appeals to most people in the marketplace. Now, I know Beats headphones have a lot of critics among the audiophile and tech communities, but there's one important thing to remember. Every major product is driven by mass market demand. We see this in all kinds of product categories, purses, fashion, even sneakers. The value of a pair of Jordans is more than just a pair of shoes that you wear when you play basketball. It sends a signal. And the executives at Beats Electronics, led by Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre, know this. And they created a market for high-end headphones that didn't exist before. So what I see is a way for Apple to not only benefit from the existing margins that exist in the business, but to promote wearable technology in these headphones. So Beats Electronics has been something to every tech company out there. But if this acquisition is true, this may be Apple's way to not only control its destiny in a different way from what Steve Jobs would have done, but a way to diversify their portfolio, to own a brand outside of the Apple brand that would work cross-platform and that would also benefit from the software and industrial design that Apple brings to the table. I see this as operating as a separate company within Apple, yet sharing many of the resources, the marketing, the product launches that Apple is well known for. And I see it as a way for Apple really to expand beyond phones, tablets, and computers. But I want to know what you guys think. This is the first episode in a new series that I wanted to test out with you guys. Haven't really decided on a name yet, but I wanted to ask you guys. Leave your comments below what you think about the video, what you think about the acquisition, good, bad. These type of videos are going to be more just me speaking more off the cuff. And actually trying to decide what should we call this series. I was thinking of a couple names. We can call it Beta. Or we can call it anti-derive. Basically, what I want to cover are just segments of news that hopefully build up to a video that I produce in the future for gaming wars or chip wars or phone wars, things like that. But I wanted to start it off with this story because this story was really big. In the future, I want to talk about net neutrality. I want to use this show to talk about any product announcements as they're announced, and just to get some feedback from you guys as a way to go back and forth. I'm going to try to keep it as objective as possible, but of course you're going to hear my opinions and thoughts on a lot of things, and that's the idea, just to make it more natural and to make it easier. So hope you guys like it. Let me know what you think of a good name or feedback. What do you think of the acquisition? Good, bad? Does it make you interested in Beats? Does it make you more interested in Apple? So hope you guys like it, and I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully very soon once my water heater gets fixed. Yeah, lame excuse. Anyways, thanks you guys. I'll talk to you next time.